My parents spent 25 years teaching me to be independent and self-sufficient, then cut me out of the family when I actually became those things. Now they're calling me cold and ungrateful, but I'm just being exactly what they raised me to be. Throwaway because my family knows my main, and this has gotten incredibly messy. I'm trying to understand if I'm actually in the wrong here, or if I'm being gaslit by my entire family. My therapist says one thing, my parents say another, and I'm so confused I can't think straight anymore. This is going to be long and probably sound insane, but I need outside perspectives because I genuinely don't know if I'm the villain in my own story. Background: the early years. I'm Celeste, 28F, the oldest of three kids. My siblings are Griffin, 25M, and Harlow, 22F. We grew up in an upper-middle-class suburb outside Seattle with parents who had very specific ideas about child-rearing. My parents, Douglas and Patricia, are both professionals. He's a corporate lawyer, she's a hospital administrator. They're the kind of people who have a system for everything, who believe in efficiency and self-sufficiency above all else. They're not warm, fuzzy people. Never have been. But I didn't realize how unusual our upbringing was until much later. From the time I could walk, I was taught to handle things myself. Not in an abusive or neglectful way. They weren't absent or cruel. They were just very focused on making sure I could function independently. I have vivid memories of being 5 years old and my mom teaching me how to make my own breakfast. Not just pouring cereal, actually cooking. Scrambled eggs, toast, the whole thing. You need to know how to feed yourself, she said. You can't rely on other people for basic survival. When I was 6 and fell off my bike, scraping my knee badly enough that it was bleeding, my dad cleaned it and bandaged it, then said, "Now you know how to do this. Next time you handle it yourself. The supplies are under the bathroom sink." When I was 7 and had a nightmare, I went in my parents' room crying. My mom walked me back to my bed and said, "You're safe. There's nothing to be afraid of. You're a big girl now. Big girls handle their fears." When I struggled with homework, my parents would point me to resources, books, websites, tutors I could call, but they wouldn't help directly. "Figure it out," was my dad's favorite phrase. "You're smart enough. You'll get there." When I wanted to join activities, sports, music, clubs, my parents made me research them, figure out the costs, present a case for why it was worthwhile, and commit to managing my own schedule and transportation. At 8 years old, I was maintaining a planner and calling neighbors to arrange carpool schedules. I remember friends' parents finding this strange. "Your parents don't help you with your science project? Your mom doesn't pack your lunch? Your dad doesn't quiz you for tests?" And I'd shrug and say, "I can do it myself." Because that's what I was taught. Self-sufficiency wasn't just encouraged, it was expected. Required. The highest compliment my parents could give was, "You handled that yourself. Good job." The golden child treatment. For years, this worked. I thrived on it, actually. I became incredibly independent, resourceful, organized. I got straight A's not because my parents pushed me, but because I pushed myself. I learned to cook full meals by age 10. I did my own laundry by 11. I opened my first savings account at 12 with money from a neighborhood dog walking business I'd started. My parents praised this constantly. "This is exactly what we wanted," my mom would say. "A daughter who can take care of herself, who doesn't need anyone to hold her hand." "You're going to be so successful," my dad would add, "because you're not like these other kids who can't function without their parents doing everything for them." I was proud of this. I felt special, capable, better than my peers who still needed help with basic things. When Griffin was born, I was excited to have a sibling. I helped take care of him, not in a parentified way, but in the way an older sister does. I was 3 years old, so my help was mostly just fetching diapers and singing to him, but I remember feeling important. But I also remember noticing that my parents treated Griffin differently than they'd treated me. When he cried at night, they went to him. Every time. Even when he was 4, 5, 6 years old. When he struggled with homework, they sat with him, helped him, explained things patiently. When he wanted to join baseball, they signed him up immediately, drove him to every practice, came to every game, cheered loudly. I asked my mom about it once when I was around 11. How come you help Griffin with stuff, but you always told me to figure it out myself? Griffin needs more support, she said simply. He's not as naturally capable as you. You've always been able to handle things. He needs us more. That answer satisfied me at the time. I felt proud. I was more capable. I didn't need help like Griffin did. I was special. When Harlow was born, the pattern continued. She was the baby, the youngest, and she got even more coddling than Griffin. If she had a bad dream, my mom would sleep in her room. If she forgot her lunch, someone would drive it to school. If she had a project due, both parents would help her complete it. And me? I was still expected to handle everything myself. Which I did. Because that's what I knew. The college years. By high school, the dynamic was firmly established. I was the independent one. Griffin and Harlow were the ones who needed support. This was just how our family worked. I got into a good college, not an Ivy, but a solid state school with a great program in my field. I'm an actuary now. I applied for scholarships myself, filled out all my own financial aid forms, researched loans, figured out housing. My parents were proud. See? You did this all yourself. You didn't need us to hold your hand through the process like some parents have to do. Move-in day for college was strange. My parents helped me unload my stuff, then left within an hour. You've got this, my dad said. Call if you need anything. I watched other families spending the whole day helping their kids set up, going to orientation sessions together, crying during goodbyes. My parents were gone before I'd even started unpacking. It stung a little, but I told myself it was fine. I was capable. I didn't need the emotional fanfare. College was hard in ways I didn't expect. Not academically, I did well in my classes. But socially, emotionally, I struggled. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to be vulnerable with people. I didn't know how to build the kind of deep friendships where you could call someone at 2 a.m. when you were struggling. I remember having a panic attack during finals week freshman year, my first real anxiety episode. I was hyperventilating in my dorm room, feeling like I was dying. My roommate wanted to call campus health services. I refused. I'm fine. I can handle it. I didn't call my parents. It didn't even occur to me to call them. What would I say? I'm struggling with something? That wasn't our relationship. They'd just tell me to figure it out. Meanwhile, Griffin and Harlow called home constantly. I'd hear about it when I did my obligatory weekly check-in call. Griffin called 3 times this week, my mom would say, sounding pleased. He's having some trouble with his roommate situation, so we're helping him work through it. When Harlow started applying to colleges 2 years later, both my parents took time off work to visit schools with her. They hired a college consultant to help with her essays. They were intimately involved in every step of her process. When I pointed out that I'd done my entire college application process alone, my dad said, "Yes, and look how well you turned out. But Harlow needs more guidance. Not everyone is as self-sufficient as you." I was starting to notice a pattern, but I couldn't quite articulate what it was yet. The shift. The real shift started happening around the time I graduated college and started my career. I moved to Portland for a job, found my own apartment, furnished it myself, built a life. I was doing well, really well. I'd gotten a great job offer, negotiated my salary myself, was on track for rapid advancement. I'd made friends through work and local activities. I was dating someone I really liked. I was happy and completely independent. I called home every couple of weeks, sent updates, visited for major holidays. But I didn't need anything from my parents. Didn't need money, didn't need advice, didn't need emotional support. Because I'd never been taught that I could ask for those things. And that's when I started noticing my parents acting weird. My mom started making comments. "You never call anymore." I called exactly as often as I always had. "You don't share anything with us." I shared updates about my life. What more did she want? It's like you don't even care about family. My dad started getting annoyed when I'd solve problems without mentioning them. I got into a minor car accident, nothing serious, but my car needed repairs. I handled it all myself, dealt with insurance, got quotes, arranged the repairs, managed the rental car situation. When it came up casually in conversation weeks later, my dad was upset. Why didn't you tell us this happened? We could have help. I handled it, I said, confused. That's what you taught me to do. We're still your parents. You should still come to us with things. But they'd spent my entire childhood teaching me not to come to them, teaching me to figure things out myself. Now, they were mad that I was doing exactly that. The double standard intensifies. Meanwhile, Griffin and Harlow could do no wrong. Griffin graduated college and moved back home for a year while he figured things out. My parents were completely supportive. They didn't charge him rent. They cooked for him. They helped him job hunt. When he finally got a job, they helped him find an apartment, co-signed his lease, helped him move, bought him furniture. When I'd moved to Portland, I'd done all of that myself, with my own money. At 22 years old, Harlow went to grad school and my parents paid for a chunk of it. Flew out to visit her multiple times a semester. Called her constantly to check in. Meanwhile, I was in Portland, succeeding by every measure, and my parents were distant. No, not distant. Resentful. The Breaking Point, Part 1. 2 years ago, I had a health scare. I found a lump in my breast and had to go through the whole scary process of mammograms, ultrasounds, biopsy. It was benign, thank God, but it was 2 weeks of genuine terror. I didn't tell my parents until after I got the all-clear results. Why didn't you tell us? My mom demanded when I mentioned it in a phone call. We would have come out there. We would have been with you for the appointments. I handled it, I said. I didn't want to worry you over something that might be nothing. That's not your decision to make. We're your parents. You should have told us. But you raised me to handle things myself. To not need people. That's what I did. That's different, she said, but couldn't explain how. I talked about this in therapy. My therapist said, it sounds like your parents want the credit for raising an independent child, but they also want you to still need them. They want both things at once. That's when things started clicking into place. The Breaking Point, Part 2. The real explosion happened 6 months ago during a family dinner at my parents' house. Harlow had just broken up with her long-term boyfriend. She was devastated, understandably. She'd come home for the week, and my parents were in full support mode, making her favorite foods, letting her cry, helping her process, giving her space. I'd flown in for the weekend because my mom had said it was important to have family together during hard times. At dinner, Harlow was crying about the breakup. My mom was holding her hand, my dad was being unusually gentle and supportive. Griffin was cracking jokes to cheer her up. It was this whole family support system in action, and I felt separate from it. Like I was watching a family interact rather than being part of one. Then my dad turned to me. Celeste, you've been through breakups. Give your sister some advice. I thought about it, about what my parents had taught me to do during hard times. And I said, it sucks now, but you'll get through it. Just take it day by day. Focus on yourself. You'll be okay. The table went quiet. That's it, my mom said. That's all you have to say? I mean, what else is there to say? Breakups are hard, but she's strong. She'll handle it. She needs support right now, Celeste. Not a pep talk about being strong. I'm saying she's capable of getting through this. You're being cold, Griffin said. And everyone nodded. Cold. They thought I was being cold. For saying exactly what my parents had always said to me. I'm not being cold, I defended. I'm saying she has the strength to handle this. That's a compliment. You have no empathy, my mom said. And she said it like it was a fact. Like she just realized something about me that explained everything. I have empathy. I'm saying what I'd want to hear. That I'm capable. That I don't need to fall apart. Not everyone is like you, Celeste, my dad said, in this tone I'd never heard before. Disappointment. Criticism. Not everyone is so cold and self-sufficient that they don't need anyone. I felt like I'd been slapped. You raised me to be like this. This is what you wanted. We raised you to be independent, my mom corrected. Not to be incapable of human warmth. I looked around the table. Everyone was looking at me like I was the problem. Like I'd done something wrong. I don't understand, I said, feeling tears starting. You told me my whole life not to need people. To handle things myself. To be strong and self-sufficient. And I did that. I became that. And now you're mad at me for it. We wanted you to be capable, my dad said. Not isolated. There's a difference. You literally taught me not to come to you with my problems. You taught me not to ask for help. You praised me every time I handled something alone. And now you're upset that That I actually learned a lesson. You learned the wrong lesson, my mom said quietly. That's when I started crying. Full-on sobbing. Because I realized I'd spent 25 years trying to be exactly what my parents wanted, and it turned out they didn't actually want that at all. Or they did want it, but they also wanted something else. Something contradictory. Something I couldn't figure out how to be. I left early. Drove to a hotel instead of staying at my parents' house like I'd planned. Cried for hours. My mom texted the next day. What you said to Harlow last night was hurtful. You owe her an apology. I called her. Tried to explain my perspective. Tried to say that I was being supportive in the way I knew how. You're making this about you, she said. Your sister needed comfort, and you made it about your own issues with how we raised you. My issues? Mom, you told me last night that I learned the wrong lessons from my childhood. That I'm cold and incapable of empathy. How is that not about how you raised me? We raised you to be independent. What you became is someone who doesn't know how to love people. That statement gutted me. Because I do love people. I love my family. I love my friends. I love my boyfriend. I just don't know how to express it in the way they apparently need me to. I love you guys, I said, crying. I love Harlow. I was trying to help. Then do better, my mom said and hung up. The exclusion begins. Over the next few months, I started noticing I was being frozen out. Family group chat that I'd been part of for years? Suddenly quiet. I'd send messages and get minimal responses. Eventually, I realized there was a new group chat without me. Griffin's birthday dinner? I found out about it from his Instagram story. When I texted asking about it, my mom said, "Oh, we thought you'd be too busy. You never seem to have time for family, anyway." I visited for Thanksgiving. The atmosphere was cold. Polite, but cold. Conversations would die when I entered rooms. No one asked me about my life. When I tried to engage, I got one-word answers. At one point, I overheard my mom and Harlow talking in the kitchen. She just doesn't get it, Harlow was saying. She's so closed off. I know, my mom replied. I don't know what we did wrong with her. What they did wrong. They taught me to be this way. The final straw. Last month I got engaged. Marcus proposed, and I was over the moon. I called my parents immediately to share the news. That's wonderful, my mom said, but her tone was flat. Congratulations. We should celebrate. I said. Maybe we could all get together next weekend? We're pretty busy, but we'll send a card. A card. My mom sent a card for my engagement. When Harlow got engaged 2 years ago, my parents threw her a huge party. Invited the whole family and all her friends. Spent thousands of dollars. Posted about it all over social media. For me, a card. I confronted them about it in a phone call a few days later. We're very happy for you, my dad said. But you've never really included us in your life. You handle everything yourself. You don't need us. So, we figured you'd handle the engagement yourself too. I want you involved. I want to celebrate with you. Then maybe you should have involved us more in your life over the years, my mom said. You can't shut people out for a decade and then expect them to show up when you finally decide you want them. I didn't shut you out. You taught me to be independent. You praised me for not needing you. We praised you for being capable. We didn't tell you to become a stranger. I'm not a stranger. I'm your daughter. I call, I visit, I try to be part of this family, and you keep pushing me away because I'm not. What? Not needy enough? Not broken enough. Silence on the other end. Then my dad said, Griffin and Harlow need us. They know how to have a relationship with their parents. They know how to let us be part of their lives. You've never let us in, Celeste. And now you're upset that we're not jumping to be involved? You made your choice years ago. I didn't make a choice. I became who you raised me to be. We raised you wrong then, my mom said quietly. Because the person you became isn't someone we know how to have a relationship with. I hung up and didn't call back. The current situation. It's been 3 weeks since that conversation. I've gotten texts from Griffin and Harlow saying I'm causing problems by attacking our parents, that I need to take responsibility for my role in the family dynamic. My role? My role was being exactly what they asked me to be. My parents sent an email saying they won't be attending my wedding unless I make some serious changes in how I interact with this family. Changes like what? Being more needy? Calling them crying about problems I'm perfectly capable of solving? Asking for help I don't need just to make them feel wanted? I'm in therapy twice a week now trying to untangle all of this. My therapist says my parents created a double bind. They raised me to be independent, then punished me for the natural result of that upbringing. She says they wanted me to be capable but still need them, which is contradictory. She says I'm not crazy, but my entire family disagrees. According to them, I'm cold, unloving, incapable of human connection, and responsible for the distance in our relationships. Where I stand now, I'm planning a wedding that my parents might not attend. I'm trying to build a life with Marcus, who thankfully comes from a warm, functional family that's welcomed me completely. I'm in therapy trying to unlearn 25 years of training that apparently was the wrong training. And I'm so angry. I'm angry that I spent my whole childhood trying to be what they wanted, that I was praised for being self-sufficient and then punished for actually being self-sufficient, that my siblings got love and support and patience, and I got figured out yourself, and then got blamed for learning that lesson too well. I'm angry that when I do need them, when I want them at my wedding, when I want to celebrate with them, when I want a relationship, I'm told it's too late, that I made my choice, that I'm too cold to love. But I'm also confused, because maybe they're right. Maybe I am cold. Maybe I do lack empathy. Maybe being self-sufficient means I've lost the ability to connect with people. Except I have connections. I have friends who love me. I have Marcus, who says I'm the most caring person he knows. I have coworkers who come to me with problems because they say I'm empathetic and helpful. So, am I only cold with my family? And if so, whose fault is that? My question. Am I the asshole here? Did I misunderstand what my parents were trying to teach me? Am I responsible for the distance in our relationship because I became too independent? Should I apologize and try to be needier? Should I start asking them for help I don't need just to make them feel wanted? Should I call more, share more problems, be more vulnerable even though that goes against every instinct they trained into me? Or are my parents rewriting history? Are they pretending they wanted something different than what they very clearly taught me to be? Are they punishing me for succeeding at the exact thing they raised me to do? I genuinely don't know anymore. My therapist says one thing. My family says another. And I'm caught in the middle, apparently being both too independent and not independent in the right way, too self-sufficient and not grateful enough for the self-sufficiency they taught me. So, Reddit, AITA? Am I the cold, unloving daughter they say I am? Or am I just the successful product of the parenting they chose to use on me, but not on my siblings?